welcome back, everybody, to week number 7. And I just realized above my head it says week 6, but it's actually week 7, I promise you, of CCS R6W, our first ever all-women's league. My name is Ted Ingles. Joining me tonight, Mr. Azaraki, fresh off a move and a new job. Welcome back to the casting desk, sir. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. I have like this makeshift lighting thing going on where I have a pretty bright light, and there's a foam board that came in one of the packages for furniture when I ordered it online, and it's pointing at the board and it's like scattering on me. It's pretty good, but it's very hot.
Well, yep, it tends to do that. Lights from time to time, right? Am I right? Lights. So let's go ahead. I know we're a little bit behind in the broadcast this evening because of a couple of rehosted game number 1 as well as a late start. So let's go ahead and get started and have a look at the starting lineups for our match 2 teams. Slaughterhouse taking on Team SiNister Red. And Mr. Azaraki, will you do us a favor of reading us the starting lineup for Team SiNister this evening?
SiNister is going to be starting out with Lady Brutal, Anxiety, Kai, Blue, and E-Girl.
That's right, they are. And I did have the opportunity to speak with Blue from SiNister prior to the game. You know, they have a Anxiety as their IGL. But, you know, a lot of teams will have like a setup where, you know, if they see something in the game that makes sense. And we're seeing this trend change, right, where you know, kind of everybody is IGLing because, you know, the trust level is there. And SiNister is very much like that. Even though they have a quote-unquote IGL in Anxiety, like they have enough trust there for anybody to make a call when they need to act fast. And so, you know, that's a good thing to have. They also told me, or Blue told me specifically, that they had a real boost of confidence here as of late, and they're making a push for the top 4. They're kind of down towards the bottom right now. But remember, we looked at the standings several times tonight, and there's really not a big difference in the amount of games won between like 3rd place, even 2nd place, you know, 4 wins, and you know, 8th place, which has 2 wins. It's only a 2-win difference. There's still, including this week, 3 weeks left to be played. So a lot can be done in that time. Of course, it's dependent on what happens kind of towards the top of the leaderboard, or whether they can win or lose. We just saw 8K lose, which were up there as well. So that can come into play as well. And also a key point here in the starting lineup tonight is this is the first time that they've had their starting lineup since the last time they were able to get a win. So that's going to be very important going into this match against Slaughterhouse. And speaking of Slaughterhouse, Mr. Azaraki, would you read out our starting lineup for that team tonight as well?
On Slaughterhouse, we're going to be seeing Assault Queen, Pyra, Tara, Bailey, and Alexis K.
Yes, indeed. And speaking of Slaughterhouse, I spoke with Tara earlier, and we're having Alexis K added to the roster. This will be her first showing here in CCS R6W. And I talked to them. They've been struggling a little bit in this season. And not only have they added a new person to the roster in order to help them improve, they've also recomposed their roles a little bit. They've been swapping around, trying to find a better spot for each player to be more effective, and basically find a strategy that will bring them more success. You know, their focus right now is to trying new compositions, and I tell you what, they're happy and they feel like that this is what they need to do to improve, and they feel like they are improving. And they're really looking forward towards the future when they kind of get everything dialed in as far as having the right person in the right place to really come out and compete at a higher level. So, you know, although their record might be low, their spirits are high at this point in time, that they are making the correct changes to turn things around. You know, this team actually all of them met each other for the first time to you know, get together for R6W. They were all kind of free agents looking to find a team. And so, you know, this progression and this maturity to make those changes really shows that they really are coming together as a team, in my opinion. So that is enough about these rosters. Let's go ahead and have a look at the map vetoes here in just a moment. Let me get that prepped for us to switch over to that graphic. You were there in those interviews. Anything to add that you picked up on, Mr. Azaraki?
I think you did a pretty good job covering it all. A lot of the interviews came down to, I noticed definitely some playstyle differences, and we saw one in the very last game, actually, between 8K and Victorious, where one team played things a lot more loose, a lot more, I don't want to say unprepared, but they were definitely coming at it without having very strict strats that they were going to stick to. They just had general ideas of what they wanted to do, and from there they played a very sort of reactionary game and tried to counter everything that their opponents were doing on the fly. Whereas 8K were coming at it more during their strats, and we saw that Victorious, when they did something unexpected, there were a lot of times where 8K just didn't really know how to respond because they were probably a little bit too focused on those strats.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for our graphic to be ready before we get started on the bands. But here are the standings once again. As we sit right now, see Slaughterhouse 1-5, not winless for the season, of course. But like they said, they've had a lot of struggles, and really, they were all strangers, not only to competitive coming into this season of CCS R6W, but also to each other. So they feel like they have been making strides and moving in the right direction. And good on them. I'm glad to see teams that might not necessarily be doing so well as far as like the score is concerned. Just happy with the overall experience of comp, right? Like they really enjoy it, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah, I mean, it's nice to see that happen. Sorry, I'm trying to multitask right now in getting the proper graphic into play.
Though I do want to mention about the last game is that it's pretty unfortunate that the game ended the way it did, because there was, again, that misplay by 8K. But the unfortunate part was that it was the final play of the game. So I think that's going to be naturally what people take away from that match the most, because obviously it's the end. You know, you always remember the last line, last section of a song, it's the thing that gives you the lasting impression. But I definitely don't want people to forget about a lot of the good plays that 8K had. Especially, they had one defense where they basically rocked Victorious, and I definitely want to give them the proper shoutouts for those plays.
Absolutely. All right, we're finally ready with the bands. We will get the bands underway post-haste as we will react to them live. Any guesses? I know you've been kind of in the process of moving here for a little while. I'll tell you right now, Clubhouse has been the play for North America, although we've been seeing in the later half of the season a lot of Cafe come out. Coastline is going to be the first off the board, and we talked to some teams like...
I was going to guess Coastline.
Yeah, we talked to... Like, I talked to Queen Yellowmid, for example, who, had a great start 3-0, then they lost 2 in a row. And I was like, what was the problem there? We'll talk a little bit more about them, but they're like Coastline. We need to get away from Coastline. And so we're seeing that band quite a bit as well. We're seeing Villa band quite often as well. So Clubhouse at Border, Clubhouse it will be. So, the North American trend continues. No surprises from anybody, I don't think. And I think we got 10 players in the game. The timer's up there too, Mr. Azra, although there might be a little bit of a delay over the screen share. Either way, when the R's come out, we will get started in our second matchup of the night. Slaughterhouse taking on Team SiNister Red. And I will mention that I am wearing, let's see if I can get it in the frame here. Oh, there we go. A little bit of a Team SiNister hoodie. Not picking favorites, though.
Caster bias.
Not picking favorites, but the hoodie is comfy. Although they did just do a deal with Champions, a big athletic wear manufacturer, to do their apparel, which I don't have yet. So
exciting.
Wink, wink, Priest, if you're out there, hook a guy up. I'll wear more merch on stream. But either way, Slaughterhouse looking to turn the tide with Alexis, the new addition. As you can see, probably not even the ability to change her name, with the 30-day lock-in. That's how new she is to this roster. So, but they feel confident that she's going to make a difference. So, like I said, when the R's come out, because we do have 10 people in, we will get this game underway. Clubhouse, no surprises there. Probably a must-win scenario here for SiNister. And with Slaughterhouse making the moves, I hope that SiNister doesn't sleep on Slaughterhouse because of their ability to make the changes, like identify the problems and make the changes as they need as we enter here into the operator bands.
And we see the first ban is going to be a Maverick, so that's just a pretty common one on Clubhouse.
Right.
He has so many options when you're attacking any of the top floor locations, which are some very popular ones, especially the cache bomb site. So taking him off the board makes sense. He's also super useful when you're attacking the basement because he can take out hatches really easily, and critically, you can't trick Maverick opening a hatch, where you can if it was a thermite or a Hibana. So both of those you can impact trick. Maverick, of course, you cannot because it's sort of attached to himself. So the best you're going to do is a little bit of damage to the Maverick. So taking that off the board makes sense. We see Jackal as well, so that means Capitao is on the board. And he has been a terror for a lot of teams. Rounding out our defensive bans, we see Mira and Maestro. Pretty much nothing surprising there. Both of these two ops we see banned all the time. Sometimes we see an Echo banned every now and again, but that's sort of like the trifecta, is Mira, Echo, and Maestro.
Yep, no surprises there. Very typical. Jackal, obviously very, very powerful in finding roamers, right? And then, of course, if it's late into the round and there's been picks on either side to find where the really embedded defenders are left as you're making your final push onto the site, really has... a lot of people are like, whoa, why are you doing it on Clubhouse? He's better on bigger maps like Bank and Villa where there's a lot more roaming potential. And that's true to a degree. But Jackal, he finds somebody and pings the heck out of it. And I don't think that the nerf changes have come down the pipe. I know that there was some discussed on the test server. That didn't actually make it to live yet, right? I'm almost positive the answer to that is no. So he's still as powerful as he was prior. So, with that being said, he's viable just about anywhere. So it's never a surprise to see him banned on attack.
It's, I'm not surprised about it at all, and I'm still sort of wondering about the fact that there is no Capitao ban. So I'm hoping that both teams decide to run it because it is sort of that power pick, especially on a map like this. Interestingly enough, we do see Basement as, Church Arsenal, sort of interchangeable there, but we do see that as the first defensive bomb site, which is interesting when Capitao is on the board, because it is ridiculously hard as a defender to hold Church against a Capitao, because pretty much any spot that you can sit in on Church is very vulnerable to his asphyxiating bolts. He can toss one behind the counter very easily. He can toss one through the top part of the reinforces. There's so many things that you can do with a Capitao to flush people out of the Church part of the bomb site that I would actually say that going to cash first would be the play on defense when Capitao's not banned.
I don't know. I think they're equally as viable. And remember, there's a lot that can happen at this level of play, like this being like a tier 3 level of play. Obviously, these girls these aren't this isn't their job like you see at pro league level, so you will see a lot of differences come out. And you can't blame them for that either, right? Like nobody has the time to put that much or put that much time and effort into the game. Oh no, what a peek around the corner from Kai to kick things off for SiNister. I saw her on screen for about a millisecond before I saw the IQ get obliterated. What an opening kill from her. And on the roam here, on a Clubhouse basement defense, we'll take the IQ down to the ground. So now we're at 4v5 and a minute and a half off the board too, as Slaughterhouse is going to have to realize that they're going to have to not only figure out a way to get down onto the site effectively, but now they've got somebody roaming around their position currently that they have to focus on too. Looks like the Jaeger will push into bathroom and not see Terra, and an easy cleanup kill for that. So not a tremendous amount of time wasted, but enough to certainly be effective in this round, and of course a pick onto the offense early on.
Yeah, so one of the things I want to shout out there is that Terra picked a very good position to stay, because if the defender rotates into the nightclub portion of the map, there's only one real place that they can get out of there, and Terra was basically holding that angle. So there was really nothing that Kai could do to get out of there. For the most part, I think Kai honestly should have just waited even longer and bought more time so that Terra couldn't rotate away from that angle. As long as she's keeping a defender there, it is worth it, and Blue gets a headshot onto Alexis K. Peeks around the corner, but doesn't get the second one as Pyra manages to take out Blue. And now this is a pretty successful Church attack so far. There's 3 versus 3, and Anxiety is still on the back here. The plant is going down, and nobody can stop it.
No, and it will go down successfully. We do see a Toxic Babe getting popped out, but it will not connect. And oh no, she'll push it to try and stop it, but Pyra will win the gunfight out. The SMG-11 shoots some bullets in her direction and looks away, maybe thinking that she had the kill secured. Either way, Anxiety will find one onto Bailey, so it is a 2v2, but Bailey and Tara both will shut it down and win that first round out here for Slaughterhouse.
Yeah, already a pretty good start for Slaughterhouse, and again, a great take by their side. They managed to take the angles, they managed to open up the church wall with hit the thermite, and overall, I really liked the play from them, especially, again, I do want to shout out Tara for playing it safe and playing the angle when trying to confront Kai instead of chasing down into Nightclub herself. So that was a good decision there, and it netted them a kill. If Kai had stayed there longer, it might have tied Tara up for a longer amount of time, and then we might see the match go in a somewhat different manner. But overall, not too much I can complain about. And again, we also see some of the power of Capitao. His smoke bolts basically just cutting off angles and allowing people like Thermite to push up right up against the wall, making sure that nobody can peek around either through asphyxiating bolts or make sure nobody can see it using smoke bolts. So overall, I like Slaughterhouse's use of utility there on their attack too.
Yeah, they did a fantastic job. I mean, getting that pick onto them early on did not bode well, and a lot of time off the board for them as well as they began their descent down into the basement of the building. Either way, they were able to win it out in the end, and I'll tell you what, that getting that diffuser off was huge. The smoke not being able to stop that was kind of the nail in the coffin there for Team SiNister Red. But again, it's only the first round. Still plenty of seeds left to be played. And I'll tell you another thing too is the Bandit committed to the wrong panel that was getting thermited. Like she went to try and pick one and chose wrong and was forced to back away. Yes, she got a pick, but she was in a very precarious situation. Very exposed right there in between Moto and the open panel of the wall. And she was able to get one, but couldn't do anything else after that. Both of those could have changed that round completely in in Team SiNister Red's favor. Those small mistakes add up, though, in the end. And Tara will barely miss the opportunity to take Kai down, who was a thorn in the side of Slaughterhouse in round one there on the row.
Yeah, and small mistakes, that's sort of the mantra of Siege, is the team that makes the least mistakes wins, and you can usually say that for any game, but it is definitely true in Siege, considering how easy it is to capitalize on even small mistakes. But Kai actually gets a flick, manages to take out a second as well. A headshot onto Assault Queen, goes for the third. Adrenaline is rushing, but that's not going to be enough as Alexis K finally takes her down, but not after she's already killed two. Absolutely worth it for the Jaeger player.
Yeah, 2 and takes 75 health off of the Capitao. Didn't waste a whole lot of time, but hey, if you're going to get picks like that, it doesn't really matter. Not a tremendous amount of utility loss on the side of Slaughterhouse. I mean, the Zofia and all of her utility is not great to lose, but I would say if you're going to lose 2 out of the 5 as far as utility is concerned, the 2 that they lost is going to be the preferred if you ask just about anyone. So they still have to come with a man, or I guess in this case, a woman count deficit. And Slaughterhouse not really wasting any time getting down onto site. We'll see the Thatcher Grenade go out onto the church wall, but the Bandit this time again prepped and ready to go to try and trick the wall. It doesn't look like anybody from the attack is actually established downstairs, as just some intel being gathered. And that's okay. They got plenty of time to do that. A minute left. Bailey will finally make her drop, trying to find somebody who gets a little bit greedy and peeks Moto just for a free and easy kill. Waits for her teammates to come down. We'll see one come down the main stairs. A bullet actually will get shot down in that direction. Anxiety will peek out from blue, trying to find somebody in Moto, but will not find anything. Bullets going back and forth, but just the delay tactics alone, very effective. The smoke will go off up and over the reinforcement, and Alexis will fire back with the asphyxiating bolt. It will make contact onto the Bandit, and it will not stop the thermite charge. It's again one panel away. The Capitao coming into play big time, like you mentioned, on the church wall here. Almost dying to the smoke, as a matter of fact, in the process. C4 will come out and it'll find Bailey. So that will be the Thatcher and all of that health going down. 2 very weak attackers left up against 4 very healthy defenders. Lady Brutal will find one onto Alexis. A 4v1. Pyro will find one frag, dip into default plant, and begin to plant the diffuser. But Lady Brutal will come around the corner and clean things up. And SiNister fires right back with a successful defense. 1-1.
Yeah, SiNister, all of that, again, was... Well, most of that was on the back of Kai. The fact that Slaughterhouse was left with only 3 members of their team. And we saw that Slaughterhouse made very good use of those three players. They got open the church wall. They stopped the bandit trick. They were in pretty good positions. They just ended up losing the gunfights because, first of all, a really good C4, I think, from blue. And second, at that point, it was just a game of angles. And when SiNister could hold 4 angles at once and Slaughterhouse could only peek 2 at once, it's a situation that is very hard to win, especially when you've committed to this church take. There's basically no way you can go for an armory take after that. You know, when you don't have the kitchen hatch open, obviously nobody's going in through dirt tunnel. Trying to rotate between church and arsenal, that hallway there is a death sentence, and we've seen so many attackers lose their lives trying to push down that. And so at that point, their only option was church. So SiNister could just 4-stack on church, and that's exactly what they did. And they managed to clean up Slaughterhouse. So I really like that defensive play there. They took advantage of the fact that Slaughterhouse was down 2. But again, Slaughterhouse, they played pretty well. They used their utility as good as they could have. It was just a really bad situation for them.
It was. It's not fun losing 2 to a singular roamer. You know, since the rework, there's been a lot of fluidity added to the map, which kind of allows for roaming. Like before, you couldn't dream of ever roaming on Clubhouse, especially if basement was the site. Now you have that opportunity, and I have heard people, you know, I've said in the past when I've seen teams chartling down that, oh, I like to see roamers on Clubhouse, and for entertainment purposes, I do, right? But there are people that will argue with you till they're blue in the face and beyond the viability of roaming on Clubhouse one way or the other. So I'm not going to make, you know, I'm not going to push my opinion any which way, but you know, you could see how successful that roam can be. We saw the first time around, the roam, they found a pick, got traded off pretty quickly. It didn't waste a ton of time. The second time wasted a good chunk of time, but more importantly, got 2 picks before getting finally shut down. And despite the utility, that's less guns, less operators on the board that you have to utilize. Doc will get a little bit of damage done in this round number 3. No harm, no foul, though. Got that stim pistol, and we'll put it to good use, healing all the way back up to 100%. That's blue hanging out down in the garage region. And speaking of garage, it doesn't look like any garage push taking place right now by Slaughterhouse, as construction seems to be the preferred push for the time being.
I think a lot of that comes down to the fact that the attackers here droned out garage and saw that there were 2 Kaids, or 2 Electroclaws on the
2 Kaids?
garage walls.
Hacks!
That would be something, yeah. But those Electroclaws basically prevent them from getting any other angles in. Ooh,
Oh!
good headshot over on the side of blue, taking out Bailey on the rappel. So that is a pretty nice shot there, but her job was done, honestly, as the Thatcher. All you need is to get that wall open. But as I was saying, they can't really push in through the garage now because you can only go in through that one doorway, and it's very easy for the defenders to shut it down. So I think that's one of the main reasons why they ended up going for a more construction-oriented push.
Yes, indeed. Kai, she'll find one onto Pyra, but Tara will find her second of the round, refragging right back onto Lady Brutal. Still a 3v3. Still anybody's game. A minute left. Plenty of time for the attackers to make something happen. You'll have the Zofia Terra, the one with the 2-piece for Slaughterhouse so far. A little bit on the weaker side, just less than half health, but still very much in it. We'll have Kai still on the roam, get droned out. We'll peek out and we'll lose Assault Queen, winning it out, but just by a hair, about 15 health left. She will push and start getting rid of this barb on construction. We'll see the first Toxic Babe go out, as Blue will pick up her second of the round onto Terra. So it's now a 2v2. A lot of back and forth, so still anybody's game, and it remains anybody's game. No matter how many people you lose, as long as you have the ability to refrag, and both of these teams doing just that. We'll see E-Girl get hit by the asphyxiating arrow. It will take a little bit of damage off of her as she throws her last smoke out to kind of give her cover. We'll see Alexis push in, and E-Girl, completely undetected, laying underneath the table, will clean the last 2 up. No intel on her location, and unfortunate timing as both of them push in at the same time. Team SiNister Red will chain 2 together now on Clubhouse.
Definitely an unfortunate situation for the attackers. They started running out of time. Their only choice was really to push in, and they had to push in through some smoke grenades. And that is a pretty bad situation because you're already taking damage. You can't see. Your screen's flinching a little bit from the damage, and then E-Girl actually picked a very good spot to sit as well. It was pretty much impossible for them to see her off of reaction alone. And at that point, it was too late to drone in. So it was basically, it all came down to the fact that it took Slaughterhouse that long to get into a position where they started to execute. So they definitely want to speed up their game a little bit and make sure that they can open those angles faster. And I think part of that, again, having Bailey not die on the repel would definitely help give them more angles to work with. But overall, just great play by SiNister to take advantage of the advantages they got. I'm gonna think of a different way to phrase that, but I'm gonna pass it to you in the meantime.
You know, it happened. It's gonna be an interesting night. I think there's a lot of key matchups here tonight too. That you know, we've talked to the teams, and there's like a varying degree of what do these teams do to like prepare for a specific matchup or to go into the season. And you can't blame any strategy, right? Some people are just tremendously busy in real life, and this was an opportunity to play comp, and they wanted to do that, and they didn't want to kind of go in, you know, with both feet, as you were, and dedicate the time that, you know, a super high tier comp team has to put in, right? And that's completely understandable. There's others that want to dive in head first, absolutely, and they have coaches and analysts, and they counter strat, and they watch VODs, and they scrim. You have pretty much the entire spectrum of, you know, practice and preparation in CCS R6W. So it's pretty interesting to see that not only that the entire spread of where the teams are sitting right now is so close, but also like it's giving a lot of like really cool experience. Like we've gotten so much positive feedback. Like, man, like how have I not been in comp before? I really like it, et cetera, et cetera. But I will digress as Alexis, the newcomer to Slaughterhouse, will pick up the first kill onto the castle of Team SiNister Red, bring it to a 5v4. Just a minute deep into the round, very early for the first pick of the round.
Yeah, definitely pretty early, and pretty much no time was bought from that pick either. It was just kind of the attackers pushed up and managed to get the kill. So unfortunately, that was not a very strong roam play on that side, but on the bright side, being castle, you generally place your doors down and then go roam after that, so the utility isn't really lost there. In the meantime, we do see the attackers making pretty good distance. They are going a lot faster than they did last round, which was one of my complaints. And they're going to get a second kill as Assault Queen takes down Lady Brutal, who tried to control the recoil of the MPX, but just couldn't find the headshot. So Assault Queen's down to about 25 health, but still alive, and that's the important part. They're going to challenge in through offices. E-Girl has a very nice reinforcement that she can just play behind right here. Blue gets a headshot onto Bailey. And so Slaughterhouse fight backs. Speaking of that, Blue gets a second kill, and Kai goes for it again. SiNister is coming up with kill after kill. And now Pyra is basically alone on the outside, and she is alone now as Assault Queen goes down too. So Pyra, with a mountain to climb, it's a 1v3. Two of them on 1 bullet's worth of health. But E-Girl is still full health, and it's still a 1v3 at the end of the day.
SiNister Red going bananas. A flurry of kills, a flurry of blue names flying across the kill feed as the victors of each individual gunfight. And so now it is only Pyra left, trying to hold an angle, trying to see if anybody will get a little bit aggressive and peek and feed her a kill to bring it back. We've got two very weak people on the side, and just like that, a Claymore and a gun kill will find it, but she will not be able to contend with the shotgun at close range of E-Girl, and what seemed like a sure thing turned into a very close match. But we'll have Team SiNister Red close it out in their favor at the end, bringing a round back. Actually, start bringing another round to their pile of 3 thus far. 3-1 in their favor. And we will be going into round 5 here, coming up.
That one had me scared. Pyra was about to clutch that. In a 1v3, that was pretty insane. Even though one of those kills was to a Claymore, it would still have been an incredible feat. And now, one thing about playing behind those new deployable shields is that you can definitely see when someone rushes in, but if you don't hit the first shot, the attackers generally are going to be expecting someone to play behind that. If they see a deployable shield, you can expect a pre-fire behind the deployable shield as soon as they get the chance. So if you don't hit that first shot, and we saw it right there, she didn't hit the first shot, and so she got taken out by Pyra instead. So it definitely depends on, it's not a very, it is an advantage to be playing the deployable shield for sure.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
But it is not an advantage that you can't mess up, basically. There is still something that the attacker can do if you miss your first shot.
Yeah, listen,
So
you gotta come out from behind it at some point, and when you do, you are exposed. So, just a great job. I'm not sure it was such a flurry of action. I'm not sure if it was a pre-fire. Either way, it was tremendously well played to win that gunfight, because you don't have the intel, right? Whoever's behind the shield does. So to win that gunfight is it's just an extremely difficult feat to do. So well on her for pulling it off, and the Claymore helps, but shotgun at about a 1 meter range is even more difficult to win than fighting somebody behind a shield, and just a little bit too much, too late.
And as we turn our attention toward this round, we see another church arsenal defense, and that's basically because it's no longer a locked site. After you play enough rounds, you can go back to sites that you've won, and so we're going to see the attacker start out with a bit of a second floor clear. Assault Queen waiting, I assume, for another member of her team to get into position, maybe waiting for someone to rappel off of the stairs in the middle leading to bar, because that's a very common spot for anyone to rotate out of the second floor. But it doesn't look like any of the defenders are playing there, so they're just going to kill a little bit of time with that strategy, but overall, nothing lost. A breaching charge is not utility that you're going to be missing all that much come to the later stages of the match, especially since you have 3 of them, so she can use 2 more in this hallway right here if she wants, or in kitchen. There's a lot of options, really, when you get right down to it. But one thing I am interested in seeing is whether Slaughterhouse decide to go for a kitchen attack or decide to go for a church attack like they have the past few times they've attacked this site.
Yeah, and I tell you what, they found success doing that. I think that was the only successful round that they've had, was attacking basement onto the church side. The second time they were able to get the wall open, they've actually been able to get past the bandit tricking twice. Of course, that was due to the Capital on that second try. And Kai, prepped and ready to go at the bottom of main stairs, will find Assault Queen, and the IQ will go down. So not necessarily as much of an aggressive roam from the Jaeger there as we've seen her do in the past, but a very effective roam, as 2 minutes have been expired, and it sounds like an Electro Claw trick from underneath actually got a shot of X-Kairos eliminated. No, that was actually an exothermic charge. So wow, what a great job. So difficult to trick with that. Guys, you'll find Alexis K, sorry, on the second kill of the round for the Jaeger. She'll lose most of her life in the process, but she has just done absolute work here for SiNister. Anxiety 51 wrapping around the other side. That's Tara, the one who got a double kill the last round, and now not very much left here for Slaughter. EMP grenade will get ADS'd, or what is it? ADS.
Yeah,
there we go. Little brain fart there for a second. Blue sending shots back towards main stairs, and she will find Bailey. She pushes up. She'll find the last one and win it out onto Pyra, and SiNister, a flawless round for them, putting them up 4-1.
Yeah, big round for the side of SiNister there, and overall, they've been in charge of this match. Now, if we look at the standings, they are the ones favored to win this, but as Ty has been mentioning over and over tonight, the standings are pretty close. These teams are only 1 win away from each other. SiNister sitting at 2 victories so far, and Slaughterhouse sitting at 1. That is not a big discrepancy whatsoever, yet SiNister has been running away with this game so far. And granted, the defense is definitely the easier side to play on Clubhouse, so we'll see what happens after the side switch, but we still have 1 more round before then, and if you can get a 5-1 scoreline on defense, then you're still pretty set. Because all you need are 2 offensive wins, and that's something that can be manageable by most teams. So let's see what they bring to this defense. We're going to see Cash once again, and I think they won the last time they went to Cash as well. Yes, they did. And so looking at Slaughterhouse, they definitely need to change something up about their strategy. 4 rounds in a row, it's not really a good place to be in terms of momentum.
No, it isn't. And Team SiNister Red kind of riding high right now. They'll go up to Cash, where they've been flawless so far. And Slaughterhouse, really, I think kind of what's been the thorn in their side is there might have been 1 round where they didn't lose somebody really early on. Kai, with the roam, despite the level of aggressiveness that she's displayed, has just been successful on finding somebody to kick things off. And I tell you what, despite, even if you refrag and it's a 4-4 and maybe you lose somebody like an IQ or somebody who doesn't have as much useful utility early on as like a Thatcher or a Thermite have, right? They're like imperative to use slightly later into the round to get some key walls open up. but it's still the mental thing starts happening, right? Oh, we're down a player. Oh, now we have to watch. Like, where did she go? We don't have active intel on where she went after the kill. Like, we know kind of the area direction she went, but there's, you know, 5, 6 rooms in that direction. Maybe she changed floors. There's 3 to work with on Clubhouse. There's a lot more stairs and stuff since the rework where she could be hiding. So all of that can be playing into your mind, and as the time ticks away, you know, 3 minutes seems like a lot from the outside in, but when you're playing it, man, 3 minutes goes by fast. And people know that. Even people that play ranked know how fast 3 minutes can trickle away. Holding an angle for too long, trying to do, you know, extra bit of droning, which of course is important, but you have to do that time management as well, and things can get out of control really quickly. So Team SiNister Red, at the end of the day, doing a fantastic job with their gunfight. Slaughterhouse, a little bit of work to do, but you can't blame them, right? They got a brand new member of the roster, and not only that, but the existing members of the roster all undergoing role swaps here in recent times. But Blue will find things picking out Capitao, and that is a huge loss to start this round for Slaughterhouse.
Yeah, you were talking earlier, Ty, about how Zofia and IQ are sort of the two that you don't... I don't want to say don't mind losing, because anytime you lose an operator is one that you don't like, but Capitao is definitely an important one. We've seen how useful he was, especially in Slaughterhouse's 1 round win so far. A lot of it was off the back of Capitao, but we see kills traded back and forth. Assault Queen takes out Kai while Blue gets a headshot of her own. And now 1 minute left on the clock, roughly. And the attackers have a decent amount of map control. They could definitely pull this off. There's more than enough time to execute, and E-Girl's already being forced to use some of her smoke canisters. Now keep in mind, these last 10 seconds each. So if there's a minute left in the round, and you're already using some of those, then the attackers are definitely going to have more than enough time to basically stall that out. Now, we'll see how long they wait, though, because they can't really bide their time for too long if they just keep holding these angles here.
Yeah, and I tell you what, you know, 3v3 situation, 40 seconds left. As the time ticks away, it gets better and better for Team SiNister. Here comes the Smoke the first time. We've been in this situation before. It's Smoke able to find that angle underneath the table, forcing the attackers to like push it in the closing seconds. They just weren't able to react to her being in that position. I don't think they're going to let that happen again. And Assault Queen is actually peeking that angle from around, but they do know that she is in there somewhere behind A. There are no more toxic babes, and Assault Queen will come in pre-fire, find 1, pre-fire a second, but Blue will find that kill. She'll find 2 as Lady Brutal finds one of her own. It's SiNister. Boom, boom, boom. 3 blue names, and it is all over. SiNister 5-1 at the half.
SiNister had a decent amount of control over that round, and it was about 1 minute 30 seconds left. They had 3 people alive. They were pushing in through cache, through construction. I would have wanted to see them utilize that time a little bit differently. They absolutely had enough time to have someone else on the team rotate outside, play the rappel, or rotate over toward garage and go in through the stairs in garage and basically flank out the defender positions, because we saw at the end, Doc was just in a perfect spot. He saw down both hallways, both entrances that the attackers could have gone in through. He basically shut it down. So it's one of those situations where they had so much time, but they didn't seem to utilize it properly. They just ended up trying to force the same angle over and over again. And even though they got out all the toxic babes and they managed to kill Smoke, it just wasn't enough in the end, because there are still 2 other defenders that you have to worry about. Yeah. Now, as we turn our attention toward the side switch, I'll let you finish that thought, though.
Yeah, no, I was just saying, you know, they kind of push construction every time. They didn't uproot Blue in garage at all, and Blue was very effective both cache defenses. Both cache defenses, she was very effective from garage, and she was completely unimpeded. She was just very comfortable in there. I think one time she peeked window early on and got a little bit of damage done to her, but no harm, no foul. She's Doc, right? Heals back up. Dunzo, back into the game, back into garage, back holding that angle. And from garage, with that soft wall, you have a very good angle for an ACOG player to fight that construction. So we'll have Pyro with the same setup. She's got a lot of utility up on the scaffolding up top to defend herself. We'll see Bailey rotate all the way back downstairs. And this time we'll see if, now that the roles are swapped, if Team SiNister put any effort into taking a little bit of garage control. Just if not to make a push from garage, to at least uproot it. And did I just see somebody run up the stairs? No, I guess not. I think there was somebody running outside. For a second there, I thought I saw a blue outline already pushing up the stairs in garage, but I was mistaken.
That would definitely catch people off guard. But so far, not much has happened in this round. And we were talking earlier about how Clubhouse is a map, it's more defender-sided than a lot of the other maps in the game, for sure. And one thing that we were talking about before is that if you're up 5-1, even when the sides swap, that's a really, really good position to be in because, oh,
Hello.
Huge grenade from Blue. Wow, did not see that one coming as she was trying to trick the wall, but that puts you in a very vulnerable position, and if you're in the middle of that animation, it takes so long to put that bandit battery away and actually sprint out. If a grenade lands right next to you, there's nothing you can do. Beautiful team play by the side of SiNister Red.
Yep, and a good start for them. Wall open, member of the defense off the board, and only a minute off the board as well. They'll try. Now they have the kind of the leisure time where they can sit and hold angles. We got Bailey downstairs. I'm not sure if the intel is out, but it looks like that it is, as Blue's holding an angle. A teammate joins her, and they do have garage control, by the way. SiNister complete garage control now, it looks like. And Blue kind of seeming like she knows that there's somebody there, and she does, and she will take the head off of Bailey. Beautiful peek around the corner. Blue just absolutely doing work with the gunfights tonight. Kai, same thing. We'll find one. Blue up through the ceiling. Wow, what? I'm not sure what is going on here. It seems like SiNister just knows where everybody is. Alexis, she'll find one. She'll find two. Trying to keep Slaughterhouse alive, the newcomer, by any means possible. The defuse will go down successfully, however, as she will have to find 3 more and figure out how to win the 1v5 in order to bring Slaughterhouse back. She will not be able to do that. Too big of a task. E-Girl sitting ready, waiting at the doorway. And despite a valiant effort, Team SiNister now chain 6 consecutive rounds together. And ladies and gentlemen, I believe that puts them on match point.
It absolutely does, and this is a situation that Slaughterhouse absolutely don't want to be in. Defender-sided map, SiNister wins 5 of their defensive rounds, and Slaughterhouse loses their first. It can't feel good in that situation, and so we're actually going to see quite a bit of a change as they're going to bring Vigil and Echo here. Assuming they're not going to 6-pick off of either of them. Those are 2 operators that we just haven't seen at all today yet, despite, I think...
Blue.
Was Echo banned the first map?
Yes, Echo was banned the first
map, but we haven't saw him this map yet, so that's interesting. I do like seeing this sort of switch up. You definitely want to do something when you're down 6-1. And one thing I want to mention about the last round as well, bringing it back to what I was mentioning the round before that on... when Slaughterhouse was trying to attack, is that they always focused everything they had through construction, trying to attack into cash, and it didn't work for them. Over on the side of SiNister Red, when it was their turn to attack cash, we saw them take a completely different strategy. As Ty pointed out, they took control of garage really quickly, and they used that power position. They used Buck for vertical play, and that was huge too. She got actually she got 2 kills that round. And it was just a beautiful team execution by SiNister Red, and I think it really showcases that difference of strategy that really works.
Right, and again, we have to kind of look back at Slaughterhouse. Remember, we talked about we've got a brand new player, first time playing with the squad here today. And for the rest of them, they've just been kind of, making changes, trying to find roles that the members of the team fit in a little bit more effectively. Remember, these girls were complete strangers before this season started. So the fact that they've been able to come as far as they have is really a testament to how much work they've been putting into it. You can tell that they've been doing it, right? Team SiNister Red having a little bit easier of a time, but they most likely have a little bit more long-standing relationship between the players, and that improves communication. And in a game like this, communication is everything, right? That's just like going in, that's like solo queuing ranked and nobody talks, nobody makes calls out. That's not fun for anybody, and it's much more difficult to win, right? And so even though people are talking and stuff like that, if you've been talking for longer and you have the call-outs down and you have that communication down, it becomes easier for you. And I don't want to discount what Team SiNister Red is doing, right? Because they're doing a fantastic job, not only with the communication, but with the gunplay as well. But Slaughterhouse kind of having to react more often to things that Team SiNister Red are doing. And Team SiNister Red, the plays that they are, predetermining and going in to perform, they're coming out the other side with that plan working out for them. So good on them thus far for making that happen. But here we go, match point. Slaughterhouse, a lot to do in order to come back in this matchup.
The first Hibana X Kairos pellet will go down here, but no one's playing impact grenades, so they won't be able to trick that. Kitchen hatch is open. Alexis K is actually being shot from every direction here.
Oh my goodness.
Ooh, just barely manages to hide behind the box, but she's completely pinned down here as Blue's pushing through tunnel. Blue's pushing through blue tunnel, and they also have 2 members of the attacker squad inside of kitchen. Goes for a frag grenade, not going to find it, however. Oh, just barely misses through the wall. Might be able to peek around the corner. There is a barbed wire in the way, however, so she can't just rush up. Ooh, beautiful move right there, using the skeleton key to take out part of the wall, freak Alexis out, and take the frag. And now we are on to a 5v4, make that a 5v3, and perhaps even a 5v2, because I think Vigil's already downed. And, oh, wow, we're already down to a 5v1. Make that a 3v1 at this point.
So you just called out the number when you see a flurry of kills like that.
Yeah, pretty much. At this point, there's not much else to do, but the plant has gone down, and it's basically Bailey alone versus 3 in a retake scenario. This is a very tough one, especially I've already talked about that hallway between Arsenal and Church. That's so hard to push through, especially as a defender. If you have to push through there, it's going to be a nightmare, and she's going to go all the way around outside of the church wall, and everyone on the attacker side is playing it very safely. Here's the footsteps down the hallway, and E-Girl peeks around and gets the kill and gets the win as SiNister Red takes out Slaughterhouse and brings themselves the 3rd victory of the season.
Yes, indeed. Well played to both of those teams. At SiNister, we talked about it. We talked about their awareness that despite their ranking, and we'll look at that.
I like the
prior to the
coordination here.
Yeah, prior to the everybody got the ruby. It looks like the ruby skin. But prior to this match, SiNister saying, hey, we're down in the rankings, and like I said, we'll look at that a little bit more as we go. And Blue dropping a 16 bomb going off today for SiNister. I mean, in 8 rounds, 16 kills. What a job! As we'll bring our faces back up onto the screen right now. And I'll tell you what, fantastic job on both sides. SiNister, I'll go back to the point that I was trying to make earlier before we saw the skins, is that they were aware that despite their ranking right now, with 3 weeks left, they have the ability to work their way up. Of course, they're going to have to find a little bit of luck in how the top teams perform these last 3 weeks. We already saw 8K drop. Of course, they weren't in the top 4. Victoria's Secret was and will probably ascend to 2nd place unless somebody else could get better than a 7-2 scoreline. But SiNister getting a 7-1 scoreline with the win is going to really boost them up the rankings. That's exactly what they needed, because that tiebreaker is the round count. So good on them. That's 1 week down. If they want to make it, and they certainly now have the opportunity to, if they do everything right and some things happen up top, they certainly have the opportunity to make it to top 4. This is about almost the best start you could imagine if you're a Team SiNister fan. And they've got 2 weeks left to go that they kind of have to keep doing the same thing in order to make that a more likely scenario. For Slaughterhouse, again, roster change, role swaps, a valiant effort from them. They won a lot of their situations, but just couldn't close those rounds out. I'm excited to see what they can bring as that organization of roles and players gets a little bit more used to each other in the remaining 2 weeks of the season. So, anything else to add, Azaraki? Unless we will take a break before going into map 3 of the day.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate how brutal it is that there are only 4 playoff spots for a 10-team league. These teams absolutely have to fight it out. And as you were saying, SiNister Red do have to get a little bit lucky with some of the top teams dropping both of their remaining matches. So we'll see what happens. But SiNister definitely showed up today. Yeah,
and I'll make a comment on that. The reason why we don't have more, go into the playoffs is simply because the more teams that you have going to a playoffs, like the more invalid it makes the season as a whole. Like these gals have to play 9 weeks out, and it kind of invalidates those who put in the work and find the success during the regular season to then get like first rounded in a playoff game. It invalidates all the hard work that they've done for over 2 months leading up to the playoffs. So having a more narrow playoff field is more rewarding for those that finish atop the pile, because in playoffs anything can happen. It's win or go home scenario, and so when you restrict that a little bit more, it really adds that much more to those who put in the work. But here we go into a short break, ladies and gentlemen, and we will be back right after with our